Daniel Shaw, academic and commentator. Good to have you with us, Daniel. So let's begin with your take on what the European Union Foreign Policy Chief said to Josep Borrell, saying that the EU should show more empathy for the loss of Palestinian civilian lives at this stage now. And this after his trip to some West Asian countries. He faced lots of criticism, and now, after 46 days and the loss of life of 13,300 Palestinians, 6,000 kids, now he's saying, let's show some empathy.
Greetings from New York City. I mean, those statistics of 13,000 Palestinian lives lost are not serious demographic estimates. How many children are still trapped under the rubble? How many elderly people don't have access to the medicine they need? How many sick people don't have access to water, electricity? That's why they're targeting the hospitals and the ambulances. They are trying to finish their 75-year project of ethnic cleansing and the complete displacement of the native Palestinian people. The words of the European Union, the words of Emmanuel Macron, these are coming very, very late in the game, 45 days into this genocidal violence. But ever so slowly, we do see quote-unquote liberal consciousness, though it may sound like an oxymoron. We do see the liberals who are in power, who hold the economic and military levers. In many parts of the U.S. government and the European governments, they are very slowly beginning to look at this disproportionate genocidal violence against the Palestinian people. It's very, very little. It appears as crumbs. The informational war continues to demonize Palestinian resistance, Palestinian nationhood. We're not even allowed to carry the kafir or the Palestinian flag in many of the European countries. So it's clear before the eyes of the world that the colonizers of yesteryear and the genocidaires for how many centuries continue to commit the same atrocities in the Middle East.
Right. Daniel, there are reports of truce being actually mediated, truce talks mediated by Egypt and Qatar, Palestinians saying that we have offered our proposal and a response to that, and we're awaiting the Israeli side. But what do you expect would happen? And in case this truce is in place, hopefully it could culminate in maybe an end of hostilities. And that's considered by many as a victory for the Palestinian side.
It's been clear from the beginning that the Israelis have no interest in negotiating the release of the hostages. For a long time, they've subscribed to the Hannibal doctrine. They would rather take out their own people instead of actually listening to the hostages when they're released and giving them some type of voice. The collective punishment, the carpet bombing of Gaza shows that the Israeli high command, and of course their U.S. backers in Washington, from the jump have had no interest in actually negotiating some type of release with Hamas of these hostages, because they have bombed so wantonly, and they have continued to wage a starvation campaign and a dehydration campaign against Gaza, which is a tiny ghetto where there's 1.1 million children, at least there were before October 7th. At this point, it would be difficult to estimate just how many Palestinian children have been killed. Max Blumenthal and Chris Hedges at the Real News Network and the Gray Zone did an excellent report on what truly happened on October 7th, because the media here has monopolized the narrative on the ins and outs and the contradictions that have appeared after October 7th. But I don't think the Israelis have been serious about any type of negotiations for the release of these hostages.
Right, and there was this BRICS summit that was held virtually, hosted by South Africa, in which Iranian President Raisi also addressed that meeting, and he announced that Iran is prepared to support actually taking this Israeli regime to the ICC to face justice. So there is no problem with the jurisdiction of the ICC, as we've talked to legal experts. How would it be possible? Would justice be finally served in the case of the Israeli war criminals?
We've been marching to the United Nations making similar demands, but I think the world has this very crystal clear that the United Nations, the International Criminal Court, these are nothing but fig leaf, fictitious bodies. This is paper law. This is not true international law. If it were, then the United States would not have gotten away with how many invasions of Panama, of Grenada, of Iraq, of Afghanistan, of Syria, of Libya, and Zionism would not have been able to continue to try to build their project of greater Israel, constantly encroaching deeper into Egyptian land in the Sinai, Syrian land in the Golan Heights. So it's difficult for us here in the belly of the beast in New York City to take the UN or the ICC serious in any way. They have given a carte blanche to U.S. imperialism to trot across the world in the most arrogant and genocidal ways. Antonio Gutierrez gives his morning declaration, which amounts to a pile of beans as the Palestinian people continue to be starved and killed off. So when they talk about a rules-based international order, they're talking about they make up the rules and the rest of humanity has to follow. But Israel and the U.S. are losing the media and informational war because it's not all of Turkey or all of Pakistan or all of Nigeria. It's not the entire global South that is subjected to the same propagandistic barrage that we are here in the quote-unquote collective West.
But so do you think that one day there will be an independent probe by an independent body, tribunal, to try and bring those perpetrators to justice?
That's what we organize for. It's only the vast majority of humanity that could one day actually usher in a sense of justice, because the Israelis officially at this point, and this doesn't even include our colleagues at Mayadeen in Lebanon who were killed yesterday, 3 of our colleagues whose only crime was trying to cover the truth about this war and this genocide, and they were in southern Lebanon and they came under attack and they were assassinated by the IDF. The official number right now in the U.S. media is 53 journalists who've been targeted for assassination, who have been killed by Israeli forces, of course, with complete backing of the U.S. Never have we seen a war. Again, this is not a war. This is a wanton slaughter. This is a genocide. It's the Holocaust of human life. We've also seen over 100 United Nations workers killed. So again, to think that somehow these international bodies are actually going to act in any type of significant way would be wishful thinking.
Okay, thank you so much for the insight, Daniel Shaw, academic and commentator in New York.